Oh man, y'all, you can't make this up. What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. So look, y'all, it's rumored that Errol Spence Jr. will be fighting Keith one-time Thurman. Y'all know that boy talk with that list, man. Keith talk with that list like he Daffy Duck or something, man. But shout out to Keith one time. Drink with me one time. Come smoke with me one time. Thurman, right? Y'all don't, if y'all ain't never heard the song Amigos one time, by Amigos is where I get that from. But nonetheless, man, what do I think about this fight? Because I saw people asking. I think it's a much better fight than Terrence Crawford and David Anesthesia, David Milk of Magnesia, for damn sure. That's for sure. It's a much better fight than that, without question. It's a much more exciting fight. There are much more exciting prospects to come in that fight compared to the fight. Like, I don't care what nobody say. Terrence finna whoop that boy ass and everybody know it. It's going to be one-sided. It's going to be a one-sided beatdown unless Terrence decides to just drag it out because he doesn't want to disappoint his fans in Omaha, Nebraska. He doesn't want to get him a run or a 2-3 round knockout type performance. If he decides to drag it out and let it go on and on and on, then I guess, you know, it'll be more of a spectacle or whatever, unless the other team throws in the towel. Unless they throw in the towel. Other than that, Terrence finna mop the floor with dude and everybody know it. The brother best win is against 45-year-old Sugar Shane Mosley, so I know what's going to happen in that. In Errol Spence versus Keith Thurman, I feel like I know what the outcome is, but there are more surprising elements that could come from this. Keith, at one point, man, Keith was the cream of the crop of that welterweight division. He was at the pinnacle, especially after the retirement of Floyd Mayweather Jr. When Floyd Mayweather walked into the sunset, Keith was at the top. He had beaten Danny Garcia. He had beaten Sean Porter. And he was just at the top, you know, with the belts. And he was looking at the ponytail. Keith Thurman was looking like, man, he was the biggest threat in the division outside of an Errol Spence Jr. who was climbing his way up the ranks, right? And Errol, at one point, Errol was wanting that fight. He wanted it bad. Keith was doing his best to avoid that fight, like best as possible, and just not to have that fight happen. And then we ultimately saw why he didn't want that fight when Keith fought Luis Collazo, and Keith got hurt to the body. And I said, oh my God, Keith is really, really vulnerable to that body, to that midsection. We saw it then. It took Keith a round and a half to even recover from that body shot. It took him a while to recover from it. He was hurt bad from that shot. And Luis Collazo does not have a sustained body attack the same way Errol Spence does. Errol Spence's body attack is relentless. He trying to fold you like the lawn chair at the Labor Day barbecue. Y'all know he is. He's trying to make you fold over quick, without question. He's coming to that body relentlessly. And I said, oh my God, if Errol is to gut check Keith Thurman, Keith gonna be on that canvas right, like I'm talking about, writhing in pain, the same way y'all saw Oscar De La Hoya. When Oscar got hit in the midsection, y'all remember when Oscar got hit in that stomach? It was over with when he fought Bernard Hopkins. And I think it'd be the same scenario if Errol would have got to him then. But now time has passed. Keith has been inactive a lot due to injury. He has the one loss to Manny Pacquiao. Keith he don't have the same momentum that he once had. Yeah, he got some wins recently, but I mean, we beat Mario Barrios, Riverside Rocky. What's the boy name? What's the boy name? Josecito Lopez. Keith ain't really beat a real strong welterweight contender. He hasn't beat any of those guys yet, but he's been vying for this Errol Spence fight. So I think that Keith is going to come in the best shape of his career if they were to fight. If Errol and Keith do fight, Keith gonna come in the best shape of his career. I think Keith is gonna be like, he's gonna have an excellent game plan. He's gonna try to utilize it to his best ability because he knows what Errol Spence Jr. is capable of. Because he's been watching Errol for a long time from afar, which is why he didn't want that fight to happen. But now Keith is in a position where he got to take that fight to remain relevant. To stay relevant is either fight Errol Spence Jr. or fight Boots or fight Virgil Ortiz. And then really, honestly, I think Keith's best bet is to try to fight a Virgil Ortiz who I think is the less skillful of the boots in Virgil Ortiz of the boots in Virgil Ortiz, that duo there. I think Virgil is would be the best opponent for Keith. But Keith like, look, I don't gain nothing by losing to that dude. I lose everything if I lose to him. So Keith like, I want to go for the big fish to do with 3 of the belts, because if I lose to him, it's like, hey, I lost to the champ, rather than I lost to an upcoming guy who is just trying to rise above the status as prospect, right? And Keith like, I ain't losing one of them young bulls. Put me in there with Errol so I can say I lost to a dude that was like, that was in my generation. Or in my era when he was at his height, he was the guy that was starting to get in the mix, But honestly, man, looking at this fight on paper, not even on paper, just analyzing how the two individuals fight, Keith can make it very interesting with his hand speed. He got pop, he got power in the left and right hand. He throws great left and right hooks. Keith is a dude that's not afraid to get in there and mix it up and bang with you. If he wants to. He'll get up out of there, you go to their body. But he gonna throw some shit at you. And he gonna throw it at you hard. For sure. He's gonna try to come out. He's gonna try to hurt you and try to hit you with some of his best shots to get you up out of there or get you hurt and get you dazed. He's gonna try to do his best thing. He's gonna try to do his best to make you to make you susceptible to being knocked out at some point. He's gonna try to mix it up with you at some point during the fight, which will make it very interesting. However, I know what Errol Spence Jr. is and what he does well. Errol gonna stick to the game plan. He's not gonna try to get flashy. It's gonna look basic, but he is going to break Keith Thurman down, I believe. Even though Keith presents a different challenge than Errol has before, that Errol has faced before, without question. Right? I do. I think Keith hit harder than Sean Porter, for sure. Than Danny, I don't know. He might I don't know. But I know he hit harder than Ugas. He hit harder than Sean, for sure. Right? Got better hand speed than Danny, for sure. Right? So Errol gonna be in a different type of fight. But Errol gonna stick to the basics. He got Derrick James in his ear. Errol gonna use that jab on Keith. He gonna get in, move in close, get to the body. When he in there banging on the body, when they in close quarters, Errol gonna throw that uppercut through that guard. And I think at some point it's gonna wear Keith down. Keith is gonna get broken down, and I think Keith is gonna get stopped. I think Keith gonna get stopped in the later rounds. I think, and I believe that Errol is gonna make Keith fall to the canvas, unlike he did with Yordenis Ugas. I think Errol is gonna drop Keith, maybe at least once, maybe twice in this fight before he gets stopped. I think Errol gonna go to that midsection, wet that body out, and Keith gonna be so worried about here, his little bread basket. He gonna be so worried about that bread basket that he gonna leave himself open to some shit here like an uppercut. And that might end the night for that brother. I'm not gonna lie. First of all, Errol, he don't want to fight Keith at all. He made that a point. I'm not fighting him. He always said that. I'm not gonna lie though. With Errol taking this fight, people are gonna be able to say, well, Errol, you can't say you're your own boss because you out of your own mouth said you was never gonna fight Keith. And now you fighting Keith, which could look bad to say, nah, bro, you ain't running your show for real. They gonna say, oh no, Al Heyman is running the show. And they can use that. They can say, oh no, Al Heyman is running the show, Errol, because you always said and vowed that you was never gonna fight Keith, and now you fighting him now. So it's gonna look like, Errol, you really ain't the boss you say you are, so on and so forth. I can see people making an argument, right? Nonetheless, despite all of that, if the type of show that Errol put on, if he puts on a great show and has a great showing, an excellent showing, I think that, the haters always gonna just tell Errol, you ain't your own boss, whatever. But I think that it could nullify some of that talk, just with the fact that if he dismantles Keith like I think he will and can, oh man, it's gonna even increase Errol's stock in a way. Now, Keith ain't no big old draw or nothing like that, but I think that, and everybody know he has a lot of inactivity. Some people are going to blame it on ring rust. Oh, this is not the same Keith Thurman that it once was years ago, and it's not. For sure it's not. This fight would have been much more intriguing 4 years ago. For sure. Even 3 years ago. This fight would have been much more intriguing 3 years ago. No, wait. Yeah, 4 years, even 3 years ago, this fight would have been much more intriguing. But Now it's like, it is what it is. Like, I mean, it's a solid fight for sure. But everybody looking at it like, man, I think Errol, this fight ain't gonna be. It's a nice, interesting fight. It's an interesting fight. It is. It is a great little mix up for sure. But people ain't looking at it with the same type of feelings and emotions they once had. But it's still looking a whole lot better. People would rather watch Errol Spence fight Keith Thurman 20 times more than they would watch Bud fight David Avenesian. We don't know who the hell that is. I'm sorry, right? But I think, if Errol finishes Keith in a major way, oh man, and it turns out to be a really solid, great fight, I think it's still going to be bode well for Errol Spence's stock, to the point where you could still, that Errol could come into that fight and help the pay-per-view numbers when him and Terrence Crawford fight. Errol may gain some fans. Hell, he might gain some more fans by fighting Keith and putting on an excellent showing. Putting on a brilliant showing. Because, Keith got the mouthpiece. He can be able to talk, got the bravado. They're going to bring in, I think if Errol and Keith fight, even though people ain't looking at the fight stylistically like they once were. Stylistically, when I say they're looking at it like, Keith he ain't the same Keith looking at it like that. People still going to tune in. Because the prospect of what Keith can bring to this fight different, he can bring something different than any of the opponents that Errol Spence has ever fought before, for sure. And he can make people gravitate to the fight with his talking ability, the stuff that he says, and the showmanship that Keith has. He's a much better showman than Errol. He's a much better talker than Errol. So I think Errol's abilities, what people know Errol can do, along with Keith's talking abilities and his how flamboyant he could be, how charismatic he can be, and just the bravado that he displays, I think people would definitely go and watch that fight for sure, without question. So, I think that Errol would definitely, I think that Errol would definitely win that fight. I'm sorry, I got distracted by something. I think Errol would definitely win that fight, but I think it will increase his stock in a way where people are like, damn, okay. I'm going to check this Errol Spence dude. I'm going to check out Errol Spence and Terrence Bud Crawford fight, which would help the numbers with them two brothers fighting for sure. When Errol and Terrence get into the ring, it'll help their numbers without question. But I think that Errol versus Keith Thurman is exciting. It can be a very exciting fight. It's a pretty solid matchup. It's an exciting matchup for sure. But I think I just know Errol get to that body on Keith, man. Unless Keith can move out the way and keep Errol up off of him and keep him honest with some hard shots. Even if he got hard shots, I think Errol's still going to have faith in his ability to take the shots. If Errol can take them shots, he going to come in there and try to wear Keith's ass down. Errol going to try to wear Keith down and break him down the same way he broke down Kell Brook, or even worse than what he did to Kell. So, Machiavelli Mills TV, I'm out. Peace.